Hello, everyone. Welcome. I just got this new mic and I'm so excited and I really wanted to test it out, and I only have like 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes actually, to film this. So bear with me, and I'm about to just do this all in one take. So let me just start off by saying that I have had 5 concussions in my lifetime. 5. That's a lot of concussions. I feel like that's more than the average human being would accumulate. 5 concussions is a lot. And I think they've really messed me up in the head a little bit. Like, I think I have definitely gone through the ringer when it comes to concussions. My most recent concussion was only 2 years ago. It was my last semester of senior year of college, and it was honestly probably the worst concussion that I've had in terms of how it made me feel emotionally, what it impacted, and just like all these different areas. Like, it completely just threw me off my rocker, and I was just like mentally unwell. And because of that, I feel like I have been exposed to a lot of doctors and tried very different regimens on, trying to recover and find a balance of a routine that was actually going to be like helpful and healthy for me. And when I was concussed, I had a lot of issues sleeping, remembering things. It made me completely like lose all control over my routine at the time. So yeah. Anywho, I would say that this whole experience has really revamped the entire way I think about like sleep, routine, just overall health, both mentally and physically. So I'm here to share some of the tips and tricks of what I found to be really helpful and kind of get me into the place that I am today, fully recovered, living my life. It took a while, I will say, but it was a very big learning opportunity for me. And I now have a lot of habits that I incorporate into my everyday life. And yeah, I owe it to the concussions. One of the things that I was taught by many doctors was the importance of sleep hygiene. And at the time, I didn't really understand what that meant, or like I didn't take it seriously, and I was kind of like closed-minded towards it. And I was like, I already do these things. I prepare myself to go to bed. I, do my skincare routine. I have like everything. I wind down, yada, yada, but I still can't sleep at night. I keep staying up really late and going to bed at an unreasonable hour, and I can't fall asleep. Like, there's just so many issues. Sleep was one of the biggest issues, and I think it really impacted how I functioned the next day, because sleep is so important to your overall well-being. So I think a lot of the times it is very difficult to maintain a rigid schedule, because oftentimes, like for instance, I like to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. More like 5:30, 5:45, I will say. But that's still really, really early, and it's not easy to do if you're going to go to bed like 12 a.m. Like, if you can't fall asleep until 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. even, it's hard to kind of get into the routine of having that desire to actually drag your butt out of bed when you are trying to get like more sleep. So anyways, I have found that one of the key things from this sleep hygiene situation was actually found in kind of ambient lighting. So in my apartment, whenever the sun sets, I try to dim all of the lights. Like, I try and kind of create a very like nice ambient environment for myself to kind of reinforce that the day is coming to a close. So yeah, the gist is that there's a lot of like correlation between light exposure and, inducing your body into a state of being ready to sleep. And that was something that I really struggled with during this phase of concussions. And it really made me recognize the importance of, sleep hygiene and getting your body primed to be in the right state to where you are getting sleepy at a certain hour and you are able to do certain things. So yeah, I always try and dim the lights, usually a couple hours before I want to go to bed, maybe 3. Once it starts to get really dark, I just try and avoid any like super bright lights. I try and, kind of induce that like winding down moment, which I think was kind of the main points that, some of my doctors were trying to get across to me, that, you need to like induce this state to sleep. I don't know if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. We'll see. I'm not a doctor, so I'm just sharing what has worked for me, and hopefully someone can find this helpful and useful somewhere out there. But yeah, so habit number 2, I think this one might be a little bit controversial in the sense that my phone shuts off at 10 p.m. I try to go to bed no later than 11 p.m., targeting 10:30. So I actually have like screen time locks on my phone that I don't have the passcode to. So a friend has the passcode to a screen time lock. I don't actually know what it is. And basically the phone will start downtime at 10 p.m. and I'm not able to access any form of social media, any form of like entertainment that would kind of be distracting. Like, of course I keep all of my, basic essentials of, phone calling and whatnot, but I get rid of all text messaging. I find that text messaging is just something that's really distracting for me. So I just basically keep all the essentials for, in case of an emergency. And then I try and just get into a state of like, winding down. This is where I would usually like try and journal and read and just do activities that kind of involve just like slowing your body and like being in a bit more of a relaxed state. And I have found that this has worked wonders. I think that this has really helped me regulate my overall routine and has allowed me to consistently go to bed at an early time and wake up at an early time. And I find that like my productivity has just like really, really shifted. This isn't something that was, found through the concussion experience. However, it is something that because of the concussions, I recognize the importance of sleep, and kind of the whole point of this video is because of these concussions, I really prioritize my sleep, especially as an athlete too. Like I love to run. Like I just think sleep is so important, and it is. So I try to take all measures to like really protect that and also get myself in a state that is performing well. Like I want to perform well. I want to be able to feel good. I want to like not be tired throughout the day. I want to be doing things with a level of productivity and accuracy, and without sleep, I am like a shell of a human being. So anywho, phone off at 10 p.m. Reading mode starts like an hour before downtime, so that way I am less inclined to use my phone. The whole goal is to like limit screen time usage, because I think that there's so much that, the phone provides distractions, and I have ADHD. So like, not that that's an excuse, because it's definitely not, but it is like, I have a little bit, like it's hard. Like it's really hard. Like it's really hard. So I try my best to limit that and just be mindful, and having these locks really helps. So I'll tell you that. Habit number 3, 2 p.m. rule. So I don't drink caffeine past 2 p.m. I love matcha. I love caffeine. As I said, I have ADHD, so caffeine is a game changer in that sense. But I will not be able to fall asleep if I have caffeine past 2 p.m. I think 2 p.m. is like the perfect cutoff time where maybe I'll have my like last matcha, maybe like third or fourth matcha, like 2 p.m. But anything after that, like no more. 2 p.m. is the cutoff, because I find that otherwise I'm going to just be like super ramped up the whole day. I'm not going to really be able to induce that state of, being a bit more mindful on like winding down and all of that once, the day is over. So that's something that I really try to do. And I find that it really works. I live by this rule. I will not drink caffeine past 2 p.m. Habit number 4, I don't take naps past 4 p.m. So kind of similar to the caffeine rule, I just try and not take naps after 4 p.m. I find that I just can't sleep very well if I had taken a nap. So I try to avoid taking naps. I'm just not a big nap fanatic. Like I will naturally want to take a nap, but I am trying my hardest to like be less of a napper. So I'm someone that gets like very sleepy. Like I get that midday crash where I used to before I kind of implemented, this 5 a.m. morning routine and like strict rigidity with, all of these different things. I find that I'm like my happiest, healthiest self. But obviously that's not gonna be like the case every day. There's a lot of things that are not in my control. I work in the alcohol industry. Like I travel a lot. Like there's so many different things that, factor in that I cannot control sometimes. So I don't take naps past 4 p.m. If I am not happy, I will tough it out. I find that that is also like helpful in the sense of like resetting the routine. But yeah, no naps past 4 p.m. Before 4 p.m., sure. In terms of naps, I try and target like 20 minutes, 25 minutes is usually the sweet spot. Last habit, as I said, there are many days where sometimes I don't have control over my routine as much as I would like to. Sometimes I go to bed really late. In those circumstances, I still will wake up early anyways. I think that this is actually really key to maintaining the overall routine and making sure that you are staying consistent, because you will be able to fall asleep at a reasonable hour the next night. And I know that most people will probably be like, well, just, sleep in. If I sleep in, the whole thing is ruined. And that is kind of the rule that I live by. I don't know if that was very convincing, but I really find that this helps me just stay on top of everything I need to stay on top of. And it's kind of just like how I manage. Like I've been traveling across the country this past summer for work, and I've been to Long Beach, San Diego, New Orleans, Chicago, Miami, Nashville, back in New York. So I've been traveling a lot, and with traveling there is a lot of jet lag, and it is so hard. It is so hard to maintain a routine when you're like constantly jet lagged. But I find that sticking to these rules and like kind of really ingraining them into my habits, like I find that I perform better, and this is how I operate. Like I've gotten a lot of questions on like how I'm able to maintain such a strict routine when I'm traveling so much. This is how, and that's what works for me. So obviously, like, take it with a grain of salt, but thought I'd share. And anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was entertaining in some way. I don't know. I'm gonna work on it. We're getting better. I'm also in a time crunch, so maybe next time I'm gonna have to film with more time because I literally have had to film this in one take, so we shall see. But yes, thank you for watching.